Good morning, you guys. It is Sunday, October 8th. We are coming to you to just chat. We have not seen each other in a whole day. We haven't talked in a whole day.
Which really seems like a long time. Like if I don't hear from you all day, I'll feel like I haven't talked to you in forever.
I know, and I think it's because my kids are sick. We went to the museum. If anybody's in the St. Louis area, St. Louis, Missouri, Illinois, whatever you want to call it, and we went to the City Museum on Friday when the kids didn't have school, and it was an absolute blast. Like, I had been before. I had been to the City Museum. I don't know if you know anything about it. You kind of tell from my pictures, but there's a lot of mazes and caves and climbing apparatuses, and it's a jungle
It's
gym.
for like little kids.
It's for
right?
little kids, yeah. But then there sits Jared at 6'5" and 270, and he did everything that they did. This man climbed, this man went in caverns, and there was a maze that was made for kids, and he went in there and ducked and crawled the whole time. I went in there for 5 minutes and got claustrophobic. I'm like, "Fuck this, I am out."
Yeah.
And he was in there. I mean, he did it multiple times, and it was his first time. It was my, like, 6th time of being there, so I, like, knew it all. I'm like, "No, that's not for me." But it was a lot of fun. But then Augie came home and started getting really sick. So we were in germ heaven. And so you get what you get.
It's like germ soup. We have kind of a similar one. I think it's in Rochester, which is an hour or two away from me, but it's called the Museum of Play. And you just go in and it's like super interactive.
Yeah, I could see how this place, because it was a Friday and it's Halloween, so it was all decorated for Halloween as well. But I could see how it would turn into an adult, because there's bars throughout the whole thing. And I think at night they turn the lights off, and then people wear like headlamps and go around and you're drinking and listening to music.
Oh my God, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, yeah. But I was thinking, like, the practical thing, and then we'll get into divorce and co-parenting talk. But I was thinking, you know how, like, you have to clear out a store for it to close? How would you clear out a place like that? Because there's so many places and nooks and crannies that people could hide to stay in there.
Right. Maybe they have employees designated to specific areas that they're responsible for to like check and make sure everyone's out. I'm sure that they have like, we'll announce it. Okay.
Right. So Theo's already like, okay, what's the topic of conversation today?
We're just hanging out. This is just a Sunday. We're just here to chat. There is something I wanted to share with you guys that I think is really cool, but we're not probably going to talk about anything
that you guys want to talk
about. It's not like a training like normally during the week. During the week, you guys, I'm over here with Sam Boss, for those of you who are watching me on TikTok. And every week we do trainings live throughout the week, but we wanted to just come on and hang out with you guys. So this is a book that we talk about all the time. It's called A Happy Pocket Full of Money.
Happy Pocket Full of Money. I gave mine to Walker.
It's so good. Mm-hmm. What?
I gave mine to Walker because that's how much I loved it. I gave it to my 19-year-old son. He was like, "Can I start reading personal development books again?" Because he used to read them in high school. I was like, "Absolutely. Here you go. You know, here's one." He likes to auditory, like, listen to a book though.
Yeah,
so I gave him the hard copy, but I was like, "Dude, I'll download it on Audible. I'll pay for it if you want to read this," because that's how good this book is.
It's awesome. It's about how to create abundance, but it's also about how to like be in the present moment. You know, it's like manifesting and gratitude. But so there's a part in here that I just wanted to read you guys. It'll just take like a minute. But this is just a really great story and an analogy.
Yes.
For like when divorce happens, you think to yourself, this sucks. This is a bad thing. This is a negative thing. There's fear, there's overwhelm. But the truth of the matter is, we can't see the future. I mean, at least most of us can't see the future. So who are we to say that it's bad or that it's negative? Who are we to say that this could be the catalyst for something even better? And I think it always comes down to having that trust in the universe or God or whatever you believe, but being able to have that trust that everything is unfolding for your highest good. And when you can do that, it really does change how you feel about everything, because you're shifting your perspective from lack and fear and all that negativity to, okay, you know what? I know that this sucks and it's uncomfortable and it's hard, but I know that everything's happening for my highest good. So something is around the corner for me that is probably even better than I can imagine. And that will give you hope. That will help you lean in, kind of find acceptance and not resist so much so that you can continue to move forward. So here's what it says in the book. It says, avoid judging things as right or wrong. Things are just things. Their classification lies in the choice of the observer of these things to classify them as good or bad, right or wrong, fun or not. The minute you judge things, you judge yourself. You also block the hidden gift that an event brings to you. So it says the Taoist, I think that's how you pronounce this, Taoist, have a wonderful way of explaining this using the story of the farmer whose horse ran away. Okay, so here's the story. A farmer's horse ran away, and his neighbor, feeling sorry for him, said to the farmer, I am sorry that such a bad thing happened to you. The farmer replied, don't be, for who knows what is good or bad.
Yeah.
Well, the next day, the horse that ran away came back to the farmer, this time bringing with it a herd of wild horses that it had befriended. The neighbor said to the farmer, I congratulate you for your good fortune. The farmer replied, don't, for who knows what is good or bad. Well, the next day, the farmer's son tried to mount one of the wild horses and fell, breaking his leg. Again, the neighbor said to the farmer, I am so sorry that such a bad thing happened to you. The farmer replied, don't be, for who knows what is good or bad. The next day, soldiers came by to forcefully recruit for the army, but the farmer's son was exempted because of his broken leg. I love that story because it's so true. It's just a simple story, but it just demonstrates who are we to say? Who are we to know?
So people are asking, the name of the book is I can't talk today.
Happy Pocket.
Happy Pocket Full of Money. It's really good. You know, we started reading it just for a money perspective of like, how can we have a better positive viewpoint on money? I know for me, from being so fucking broke and poor, I am always like, well, what if? Well, what if? Well, what if? I have to save. And like, is this going to be consistent? And is this enough? And I'm always worried about money. So she was like, you need to read this book. And this book completely changed my viewpoint. And as soon as my viewpoint changed, like money started coming in even more so than what it ever has before. So what that story reminds me of is, and I've told this 100 times, when I was going to court over and over and over and over again. And, you know, we're having a trial for 8 days over Christmas break in 2010, I believe, or 2011. And every day I'm going in to court and I'm nervous before we go in and I'm anxious the night before and I'm not eating and I'm sweating and I have diarrhea and I'm chain smoking the whole way there. I'm dousing myself in perfume. I'm going into, our court was on the 3rd floor and I'm going up to the 4th floor and I'm taking a shit and puking my guts out. I come back down to the 3rd floor and I'm looking at my mom every day and I'm like, why am I going through this? Like, why is this happening to me? Why? Like, there has to be a reason why I have to do this. Like, what is the fucking reason? And I wanted to know then. And I was so like hell bent on talking to my mom about, why am I having to go such a horrible divorce? Why is he treating me this way? Why is this so much harder for me than everybody else that I see getting divorced? Doesn't have an 8-day trial, doesn't have 43 witnesses, doesn't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, why me? Why me? And then now look where I'm at. You know, look what I'm doing with my life. You know, my mom kept saying, my mom is a religious person. And she kept saying, you know, God has a plan. God has a plan. And for me, I was like, okay, well, why the fuck would he make me go through so much trauma, so much financial abuse, so much emotional, you know, just, I was just so fucked up during that part of my life. Why? And it was because later I'm able to relate to people because I have never lost that feeling. I know exactly what that feeling is. And I think whoever it was, source, God, universe, whatever, made me go through that so that I could have, I mean, I already had a teaching degree. I was already teaching. It's just that somebody was saying, yeah, you're a good teacher for kids, but you're going to be an excellent teacher for adults. And
you need so you have the freedom to drop all those F-bombs now.
Yes, like we need you to go through this hell so that you can help people through their hell. And I truly believe that to this day, that's why I had to go through that, was that I was somebody that I'm an empath. So I totally remember those feelings. I remember how I felt. I remember that look that I would get from him across the courtroom. I remember my parents, the look of like sadness and fear in their eyes. I remember all of that. And I think I was chosen to go through that hell so that I could have this business and be helping people one by one and saying, it gets better. Here are the tools. Here's how. Don't do this. Do this. Focus here. I really do think that's why. But it took me, I mean, you guys, I got divorced in 2008. It took me till like 2017 to understand that was my path,
Right. That's
and
the thing. Like, we want an answer
yeah, we
now.
want an answer
Like,
now.
we want to know. We want to see the improvement, but you have to have that faith and that trust in whatever it is you believe in. And I feel the same way. And that's what happens to a lot of coaches. That's how we end up doing what we do, because we've gone through it and then we kind of made it to the other side. And now we're helping those who are still looking for answers. So same thing for me. I lost my mom when I was 16, traumatically and suddenly. She had an asthma attack in front of me and died in our apartment. 5 years later, my dad died of pancreatic cancer. I'm an only child. I've gone through 2 divorces. And when I gave birth to my one and only daughter, she almost died. And I had to essentially grieve the loss of my daughter until a few days later, when she was able to breathe on her own. Her lungs had filled up with amniotic fluid, and they had to ship her to a completely different hospital, and I couldn't go. And they couldn't tell me whether or not she would survive. So it was like, every time something like this would happen, that's what I would say is like, why is this happening to me? Like, I'm fucking cursed. I'm like, what the fuck did I do in a previous life? Why is my life so hard? Why can't things ever be easy? Why do I keep losing people? And it wasn't until later in my life, when I started doing my own work and I got out of that victim mentality and I started figuring out how to heal shit that needed my attention, that's when I was able to really be the person that I wanted to be, feel good in my own skin, find stability in my life, create good things around me. And I just got I have so many tools and so much information from all the shit that I've had to deal with myself. And that's why I became a coach, because I love helping people that struggle to see those silver linings, people who are just in the shitstorm and they want so badly to get out of it. They just don't know how. They don't know where to go next, or who to turn to, or how to get out of that rut. And that's what I love being able to do, is to lend a hand and go, here, like, here's what you need to do. Here's how you do it. Here are the tools. Here are the resources, so that they don't have to go through all that trial and error.
Right. And I think that is what makes you really good. I mean, something so simple, guys, is when we got on talking this morning, my glasses were fogging up and I was getting irate. I was just getting irritated because my glasses were fogging up, and she instantly was like, do the 5-5-5. And I did it, and I like let it go. And it was just like, why am I so angry about glasses? And I don't know if any of you are like, irritable Betty, like I am sometimes, when things just don't go perfect or don't go right. And it's something so small, you explode. I mean, that's me. Like, I just,
that happens to me too. I mean,
but it's like, but it's that practicing, I gave your advice the other day to a client. I had a husband and wife that I was coaching, and the dad is struggling with connecting with his kids because his feelings are really hurt that they lived with him and they went back to mom. One of them did, to live a little bit more with her. And I think this kid doesn't think dad wants him, because dad doesn't talk. Dad is shut down and doesn't communicate very, very well, and blah, blah, blah. And his new wife is like, can you get him to understand that he needs to talk, And we got into mindfulness talk. And I said, when you're talking to your kid, what are you thinking about? And he said, I'm thinking about, if I mess up, he's going to want to go back to his mom's again if I say the wrong thing. I said, so you're missing the moment of being in the moment with him and having the conversation of what it's about. Instead, you are already in the future worrying about something that hasn't happened, right? And he was like, yeah. And so when I said mindfulness, this new wife was like, oh my gosh, that's what I've been trying to tell him, that he needs to be in the moment, present with what's going on. Like me worrying about my glasses, it was like, just change glasses or put them down. But like in my mind, like it has to be perfect. I have to wear the ones that I wanted to wear. But instead it was causing me so much tension. So I don't know if any of you deal with that, like irrational, just like freak out about stuff. It's because you're not, having patience or whatever it is for that moment. But that 5-5-5 really helped. And practicing that mindfulness of being in that moment. I've been flexing like crazy, trying to be like, nope, I'm right here. Like, no, like I know I'm starting to think about all this over here. Nope, I'm right here, and being present. And I have a client right now who's, she's actually one of my assistants. She's going to trial on Tuesday. So if we could all just have her in our thoughts, because it's a horrible case. And I told her, I said, call me 100 times this weekend if you need to, because If you need to just keep talking it out to keep yourself calm and sane as you're getting ready to go into trial, then just do that. Just keep saying the words and talking. I didn't have a lot of people to talk to through mine, and I regret not reaching out. So this is kind of all over the place, I know, but you guys, like, reaching out and asking, what is the 555? How can I help? What books should I be reading? Who should I be talking to? The fact that you're showing up here, the fact that you click on this and watch these, this is you taking steps that her and I didn't do when we were going through our shit. We just shut down. We tried to do it ourselves, and it did not turn out well for us.
Yeah,
And so,
made a bunch of mistakes.
Because we didn't have role models, we didn't have mentors, we didn't have coaches, we didn't have books, we didn't have podcasts, and we just tried to solo run it, and it didn't go well. 10 out of 10 don't recommend. And so we just want to give you the tools, and whatever things you're struggling with, whether it's a training that you need to catch in the next chapter or group coaching that you need to sit in on, with us, with mom group or a dad group, whatever it is, we have the resources for you. Sarah here is asking, what is the 555? Because I'm telling you, you guys all need to practice this, and you need to learn it, because it'll talk you off the ledge.
Yeah, it's a mindfulness exercise, but it's also breath work. So it actually regulates your nervous system. So if you're one to get worked up or anxious and you just feel like you need to like settle yourself, the 555 is you inhale for a 5 count. You want to fill up your lungs and your belly, like put as much air into your body as you possibly can, like filling a balloon. And then you hold that breath for 5 seconds. And then you release out of your mouth. You exhale all of that air until you're totally empty on 5. And that's 1 breath. So you can do it a few times or as many times as you need to. Right. You could do it anywhere in any situation if you're feeling stressed out. But that helps you kind of bring yourself back to center again. It's awesome.
Somebody says, Renee says, do you have any advice on how to survive a family dinner with an abusive, neglectful family who betrayed me?
I wouldn't go.
I wouldn't be going to dinner. No.
I wouldn't go.
No. And if we're
taking set boundaries, Renee, and I'm doing a boundary workshop. If you struggle with boundaries, I'm having a workshop on the 17th of October called Boundaries and Balance. So you'll learn a lot of information on how to set boundaries with more confidence. It sounds like maybe you need to just set more boundaries with them. And if you know that they're abuseful and neglectful, then a boundary is probably not going, right? Because you can't change who they are, but you can change whether or not you're engaging with them.
Yeah. And so I think for a lot of us, and tell me if I'm wrong, I would take my kids around friends and family, mostly family, that I thought my kids needed to interact with and see. I was like, well, even though my relationship is damaged with this person, these are still the kids. They still need to be around, grandma or uncle or auntie or my mom, like whoever it was. You still feel like, well, I got to let the kids still have that relationship. So I'll put my feelings aside and still take my kids. And it's like, no, if these people have treated me like shit, why would I want to show my kids, who probably understand and know full well that I'm getting treated like shit? Why would I want to show my kids and expose my kids to such horrible people that have no right or wrong, no feeling of being nice to me? Why would I want to do that? If they're going to throw me under a bus, how much longer till they throw my kids under a bus? And so I think that's where we have to be okay with, as we get older, and I don't know about you, I think I know how you feel about this. You don't have to be close with your family. No. If you have toxic people in your family, which we all do, you don't have to engage with them. I chose to not engage in something at a game the other night. I went with my aunt and my uncle was there, and they get along with their dad, who was also my grandfather, who I will not speak with and never will ever in my life. And they were sitting there talking about him and engaging with him. And it blows my mind that they're friends with this man, that they engage with this man, but that's not me. So I was about ready to say something and give my 2 cents, but it wasn't warranted. I just know for me, I would never engage with that man for safety reasons, number one. And just to listen to them, it was so hard not to speak up, but I chose not to. And I chose to say, and I just let the conversation go on. But it's like, there is no fucking way in hell I would be around that man. But they are people that don't have boundaries. And I know that. They're both pushovers. They're great people, but they have put their own feelings aside, knowing full well what this man is capable of. And they feel guilty because they're his children, that they should do for him, even though he is a piece of shit. I'll say it. He's a piece of shit. And so they will still go above and beyond to cater him and help him with travel and do all these things for him, knowing full well he was a piece of shit when they were children. because they have no boundaries. And I don't know if any of you have that, that have
We
families.
do feel guilty, and we have sometimes those people put pressure on us and
Yeah.
tell us that we're it's wrong, and family is family, and you're supposed to be loyal, but those are all limiting beliefs.
Right.
That it's not the truth unless you believe that that's the truth. It could be their opinion. It doesn't make it fact.
Doesn't make it
So
fact.
I think it's so important to remind yourself that you're always the guardian of your own energy. I don't care if it's your mother, if it's your boss, if it's the Pope. I mean, I don't care who it is. If someone is making you uncomfortable or impeding on your well-being, you are responsible for setting boundaries. And then if these people are not respectful of your boundaries, then what is the consequence? Instead of saying you can't, I don't like when you talk to me like that. Like, that's not a boundary. A boundary would be, if you continue to speak to me this way, I am not going to come to these dinners.
I will not. Yeah, I will not. And that's a big mistake in divorce. A lot of you are telling your ex, stop talking to me that way. Stop calling me. Stop texting me. Stop doing that to the kids. Stop doing that to the kids. You have no control over them. That's not a boundary. That's just you yapping your jaws, and that's it. So you need to really think about, okay, if this person does this, how will I react? How will I engage? How will I not engage? How will I protect my children? All of you need to turn your attention to you and your children. If you are focusing your attention on your ex, like I did for 8 years, like trying to get the court to stop, trying to get him to like me, trying to get all of his girlfriends to like me, trying to make the peace and be that cool co-parenting situation that everybody sees and is jealous of. I tried to be that for 8 years, and all it did was put my own life on hold. And I didn't have a life. My life was revolving around, what does my toxic ex-husband want me to do? And how does he want me to feel? And how does he want me to look? And what does he want me to say? And how does he want me to help him? That was my whole life for 8 years. As soon as I fuck that, let that go, and got the confidence and had boundaries with him, my whole life completely changed. My whole life. People are asking, where is this boundaries workshop? How can I get a hold of it?
Okay.
Leah's going to go find the link and put it in the comments section. But I think, again, you guys, I was telling Leah before we started, I've had a rough weekend with kids being sick, and I worked a lot 2 weeks in a row, and I was burnt out. So I took a couple of days off, but I'm using today to restart. I'm going to make, my to-do list for the week. Like, what is it? And I show this a lot, but this is literally, I'm going to redo this week. This is really like daily tasks, daily tracker. I'm going to make my bed, do my morning meds, do my workout, do my walk, read 10 pages of my personal development, take my afternoon meds, drink water, do my bedtime meds, and meditate and journal. Like, I'm going to update this, add this up. And then I have stuff for work as well, the things that I have to do for work. And sometimes when I'm lost and overwhelmed, like I am feeling right now, where I have a lot of ships out at sea and I don't really have a captain in each boat, I really need to make a list so that I can bring them all back to the dock, if that makes sense. Like, I have to have a list for myself. Otherwise I feel disoriented and I can't grasp it. So if you are one of those people that are feeling that way today with like, what the fuck is going on? There's so much going on. Just please make a list, start journaling. One of the things that I'm going to add in here that I don't have in is my gratitude journal. I got to get back to that. I got to get back to writing what I'm thankful for. That's another perspective change. If you're dealing with a high conflict person, Leah does hers every single day.
I try. I mean, I do miss sometimes, and this is also kind of a manifestation. Like, I do gratitude and manifestation. I kind of go back and forth, but I keep it in here and try to go to it.
So it's just one of those things where you have to reassess. And that's what I'm going to do today. Reassess. I'm going to clean out my inbox. I'm going to write out my week goals. Like, what am I doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and get these things done on the daily tracker and really just revamp of making priority. And I think that's the last thing I want to say about that. And we can move on, but I have to make myself a priority this week. I let my kids creep in with being sick. I let my daughter creep in with a couple of tournaments this weekend. And I lost track of me. I didn't get up and walk this weekend. I walked, but it wasn't in the morning, and it was for the dog purpose. It wasn't really for my purpose. And so I really feel like I got to get that back. So finding these boundaries of, being able to tell your kids no, or your new significant other no, or work no, not just your ex-husband, but look at where you're struggling with all the boundaries in your life.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, it's an eye opener when you're if you're a yes man, yep, I'll do that. Sure. Yep. you don't have fucking boundaries because you're saying yes to everybody but yourself. And I know that's a lot of you because that was me. You know, I can distract myself by helping everybody else besides looking at my own life. That's where you need boundaries. This workshop that Leah's going to do is going to be fire. It's going to be awesome. Everybody asked, how do I deal with my ex-husband? How do I deal with my ex-wife? Fucking boundaries.
Boundaries, baby.
Boundaries.
And to not be afraid to set them, to not feel guilty for setting them, because there's really two sides of the coin. One side of setting a boundary is actually communicating it. But then the second part is, now how do I handle that person's reaction to my boundary, right? Like if they give you pushback, then what? And that's how you can really set boundaries with confidence. And so for you guys watching too, if you want to come to the Boundaries of Balance workshop, just click the link in my bio. There's a link in my tree. And then somebody asked about the next chapter. The link for the next chapter, we can put that banner up.
Yeah, the next chapter, you guys, is for men and women. So we have Mondays.
It's separate.
Yeah, we give a training for women, moms on Mondays, and we give a training for dads on Wednesdays. And this training on Wednesday for dads is parental alienation. It's huge. It's probably going to be a two-parter. You know, if you feel like your ex is really starting to pull the kids away from you and to take the kids away from you and trying to change their mind about you, that workshop is for you, for dads. On Monday, what do we have for the moms on Monday? We have a guest speaker.
Monday, yeah. So the cool part about when you're in the next chapter is you get to tell us what you want. And so like the dads were like, we want to learn about parental alienation. That's why we're doing a workshop. And then the moms, they've been asking that they need some help with like overwhelm. They're overwhelmed, they're burnout, they're single momming it, doing it all. So we actually have an overwhelm and burnout coach, Daniela Wolf, who was nice enough. She's going to come in on Monday for the next chapter for the moms group and do a whole training on like some tips and tricks on how to reduce overwhelm and avoid getting burnt out. So that's going to be really, really cool.
Right. And then is this week the week that we coach for group coaching, or is that next week?
Yeah, we do have group coaching this week, Tuesdays for the moms, Wednesdays for the dads.
Right. And so group coaching, guys, there's, 3 to 6 people in each group coaching, depending on who shows up for the week. And we just kind of go round robin around the room and, first come, first serve kind of thing. And somebody shares what's going on. They ask for advice. And it's not just us giving advice. It's the whole group. And we have some really stellar people in those groups that have been through the hell and back too. So they give some really good advice. So it's
not really like being in a room with a handful of girlfriends who are going through the same fucking thing, or you've gone or have gone through it. And so you guys can like talk and share, and it's so cool.
Right. A Happy Pocket Full of Money is the name of the book. And beware of that book. You have to literally read some paragraphs twice because it's so like, did I just read that for what that said? And you read it again, you're like, damn, why don't I think of things like that? Like I was reading it out loud to Jared and he was like, this makes so much sense. Like it just makes you pause and think about life and appreciating things and like looking forward to things and changing the spin to it of like, instead of always just taking that negative stance, like when you were talking about that story, I was trying to think of what was the positive of Augie being sick all weekend. Well, quite honestly, and I know this might sound bad, but I got to connect with him because normally Jared and him are buddies. I mean, Jared and him those are two fucking peas in a pod, just like me and Brutus are two peas in a pod. Like people can say they have their favorites and then say, don't they have, we always split and divide. Like Brutus always wants to be with me. Augie always wants to be with dad. But when he was sick, he wanted mom. And it was kind of like, of course you do, and I got to reconnect with him that I don't normally, because like when we're like, hey, he wants to snuggle on the couch, he always goes with dad. And it's like, I never get him, but I got a full dose of him one whole night where we got to sit and connect. And, he's in the
silver lining. And you kind of unplugged for a couple days. Which
I did. I got to say, fuck it. Any client that's mad at me that I'm taking care of my kids first. I had one gentleman that was like, I need to hear from you. And I was like, my boundary is this. You are not near as important as my child. I will refund you any amount of money. I don't care. My child is more important. And for me, that's a new boundary because when I first started working, I literally was like, no. I would be like, oh, no, Jared, I got to go. Jared, I got to go downstairs. Jared, I got to go. I got to answer this email. I got to. And I've gotten way better at, you guys can wait. I'm sorry, but my kids come first. And that's me teaching you a boundary too. That guy may be upset with me, but he needs to learn the life is still going on as he's going through this divorce as well. And he needs to take a pause. And maybe there's a reason why I'm not getting back to him. Maybe he needs to sit with his kids. Maybe he needs to calm down. Maybe he needs to just, take a break from something and not eat, sleep, and breathe. If there's a reason why my kid got sick and is making him wait for an answer, maybe he needs to go outside and go for a walk, so always ask that. Yeah.
And somebody's asking if I can't get in the live next chapter, can I get access to it? Yeah. So when you're a member of the next chapter, you get access to like a private Facebook group. It's for members only. And all of our live trainings, the recordings stay in there for weeks. So once you get in there, you could even go back and look at some of the previous months trainings that we still have up. There's so many. They're so good. So yes, if you can't hang live, you can always watch the replay.
Well, thank you guys. People are saying boundaries are good. Boundaries are healthy. Absolutely. And again, if you are somebody struggling with boundaries, you need to, my link on my bio up there has all of Leah's link. So if you click my link, it goes right to Leah Marie's, and then she'll have her boundaries workshop listed. Did you put the dates on there like I do for my workshop on your link tree?
Yeah.
Perfect. So they know that it's this month one.
Oh, not on the link tree, but there's only one right now. It's just the October one. It's
okay.
The 17th and the 18th. For the Boundaries and Balance workshop. It's gonna be a live workshop, so you can hang with me, ask me some questions at the end if we have time. But then also you'll get the replay if you're enrolled. So let's say you can't make it, or you have to duck out halfway through. I will email you by the end of the day with the replay of the whole thing.
I think that's when I run my workshop for parenting plans, I think that Q&A at the end is really worth the most amount of money. I mean, because you're charging dirt cheap. What is your workshop? $47 for 2 days?
It's only $47, yeah, for 2 days.
I mean, I just spent $400 at fucking Target yesterday, and I could only remember 4 things that I bought. So I really think that you could probably have $47. But the $47, then you're getting training, but then you're also getting that Q&A at the end. And I think that's what my people love about my workshops too, is that I take the time to listen to their specific scenario and give them tangible takeaways of hey, I know I'm only hearing 3 sentences of your story, but from what I hear, go try this, go try this. So I think that's critical for you guys to get in there and get that dab of what does a coach look like? What does a coach feel like? How can, Leah and I really help you with your specific answer? I have one dad, Luis, who he's just been fucked over by attorneys. His biggest thing in his emails was just Sam, every attorney says they're going to help, and they don't. And he's like, I learned a lot from you in the workshop, the fact that you're catering to me and answering my questions through emails and things like that. He's like, I've been taking care of you. I got another lady that said, you've answered more in a workshop than what I've ever got from my attorney. So I think when we give these workshops, guys, we know what the fuck we're talking about. Leah's training in boundary setting and her confidence course that she has is 8 years of therapy for me wrapped up into a course. It's okay, you mean I could have stopped going every Tuesday for 8 years and could have just taken this course? And I'm not saying these courses replace your therapy. I mean, I'm not saying that, but my therapists were always it's the slow lead to the end.
They mostly just listen.
Can you just give me an answer? Can you tell me a takeaway? And it wasn't. It was always this slow, what do you think? And it's no, you just heard how fucked up my life was. Give me a fucking recommendation, know? And I think this course that you offer, especially the confidence course, I can't wait I want a copy of the boundary course just so I can tell people how awesome it is, because I've already heard you give it before, but I want it just so I can show people and say, hey, look, I've done this too. I want to see what it's like. Or I got to see what it was like. It was awesome. People are asking, go to my link right here. And then where it says Leah Marie's website, click there and it'll take you right to her stuff. And you can get there
with everything. The confidence course, the next chapter, group coaching. The book Sam and I read is called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. Somebody else asked. It's not our book. It's just a fucking awesome book. And so I was sharing some stuff.
I'm reading that Rich Bitch Still book.
Yeah.
I'm in the first 2 chapters still. I need to pick it back up. You said it picks up, right? Because I
really liked it. I liked how it was written, and yeah, I mean, maybe just skip around it. Just flip through. You don't have to read it from cover to cover. And this is something I learned. Who told me that? I think Jay Shetty. I heard him in an interview. He was talking about how so many CEOs and a lot of people who read lots and lots of books, you don't have to read from cover to cover to have read the book.
Okay.
Just go through it and like scan through. And if there's things that resonate with you, read it. And if there's things
Okay.
that don't resonate with you, you don't have to read it. Just
All right.
take what aligns with you.
I'm going to do that then. I'm going to do that. Totally. How do I prepare for mediation? I move 1 hour out of state. Didn't tell the court. Ooh, you didn't tell the court. Did your ex approve it? Mediation, you guys, you want to go in prepared. You want to understand what it is that you could be asking for. You want to know what's going to be asked of you. You want to know what subjects. You want to bring solutions to the problem, which is, okay, you're in mediation because there's a problem. There's a conflict. You got to bring your solutions. Like, what are you going to do for medical stuff? What are you gonna do for education, extracurriculars, visitation, holidays? You want to come with you want to come prepared. Last thing I want you to do is show up unprepared and be like, could you explain this to me at $300 an hour, what this means? Absolutely not. So let's see, we got the book recommendation.
I want to touch back on what you said too, which is so important, is like, please don't use your attorney as a therapist, you guys.
Yes.
You're going to spend so much fucking money and not even get the best results or like the best advice or guidance, because that's not what they do. That's not their wheelhouse. That's why people like us exist. Your attorney is business. Like, they just want to get the business done. They are not the professionals in handling the navigation of the mental and emotional side of things. That's where you need to get into the support groups and take the courses and read the books and get the resources and, join us. We have tons of shit between the two of us to help. That's where you help yourself. Like, how do I pick myself up, brush myself off, and move on? Like, how do I get over this and start working on myself? That's all over here. Don't do that to your attorney.
I have to tell a story of a client I had this weekend. I think her name was Kayla. Kayla had a daughter who's 3, and she's doing every other weekend visitation. And she has 2 family weddings coming up in this fall, like soon, I think within the next month. And in the journey with her co-parent, who's high conflict, doesn't want to give anything, she gave him way advance warning of when this wedding was going to happen. And her daughter has been asked to be the flower girl in both said weddings, I believe. If not both, at least one. And so she's given a heads up to her ex-husband, and she said, hey, a little girl is in one of these weddings, family wedding. Obviously, she didn't pick the date. I mean, family's not going around and saying, hey, Kayla, when are you having your kid? Let me plan my whole fucking wedding around your visitation schedule. Nobody does that shit, right? But they're like, hey, can your little girl be our flower girl? She said, oh my God, yes, absolutely, family. So anyways, so she goes and she has a conversation with her ex, just casual. He doesn't say anything. So then she formally sends an email saying, hey, remember those 2 weddings I told you about? They happen to fall on your weekend. She took my training. She's like, hey, can I take the weekend before, the weekend after, give you for your weekend? He says no. She goes and she asks again, and she says, okay, she's in the wedding. This is kind of a big deal. She's been asked to be in this wedding, blah, 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 blah. Can you switch weekends? And his response, and I read the text message thread, it said, I'd rather just practice my own parenting time. So then she goes, Sam, what do I do? And I was like, well, this is a swap. He doesn't have to do it. He doesn't have to. Right. He can keep his own parenting time. But I said, why don't you remind him of this is going to fuck you up in one of these future. I mean, she's only 3. You are at some point going to need this favor back as well. Like, understand it might not be what you want to do, but understand this is a situation that you may have a wedding or a party or something you want to invite your daughter to, but it's on my weekend. Explain to him. She goes, oh, well, I have done that. She goes, we've already done that, where I have given him time or added time so that he could take her to a special event. I was like, send an email and remind him of that. This man is still saying no, even though she's done the favor to him, and that in the future there will be favors. And this is where, as a parent that is begging for that swap because of a special event, you have to come down the road of understanding a couple of things. Number one, your kids won't be everywhere with you. So she's going to have to say no to the flower girl situation. The people will have to go find another flower girl, which, it's fine that they'll do that. And it's embarrassing. That's the biggest part, is that it's embarrassing when everybody's like, yeah, just ask him to switch. And you're like, okay, sounds logical. No. And you're like, well, fuck, now this is a reflection upon me that him and I don't get along. This just looks ugly. This looks disgusting. But there will come a time in her near future that he will come a knocking and he will say, can I have her? Because I have something. And he's going to think it's the biggest fucking deal, since the invention of the watch. And he's going to be like, oh my God, you have to switch me. You have to switch me. And Kayla will have to do one of 2 things: Rise above and say yes because it's the benefit of the child, or say no so that he feels the fucking karma bite him in the ass the way as it should, depending on how you feel about this. Now, this happened to me all the fucking time. For 6 years, I asked for swaps, and it wasn't until year 6 that he finally said yes because he needed to swap for a family reunion. And I quickly said yes because I wanted the children to go to a family reunion because they only see these people once a year. But I could have very easily said no and reminded him of all the 6 years worth of times that he had told me fucking no on swaps. So I'm telling you now, you got to figure out where you're going to be with this one and what you're going to do, because you're going to ask, this is logical. Just swap. She's in a fucking wedding. Just swap me out. No. And you're going to have to, I mean, the audacity, because you're like, dude, it's equal time for equal time. It's just a different weekend. No is going to be the answer. And what are you going to do back? Are you going to be the no person as well? Or are you going to rise above? And I'm telling you, if you keep saying no, it'll eat at you, because you're going to be like, God, I wish I should have just let her go. I should have, because you have a heart and you care and you know that your child should be experiencing things, but the other side does not give a fuck. Just prepare yourself for that, because a lot of you are going into this divorce and co-parenting thinking it's going to be even Steven and fair and logical, and everybody's going to have the child's best interest of heart. That is not true when you are dealing with a truly highly confrontational person. Somebody said pregnancy, and in something like, and that's not what this person is saying, because I think this person's being rude, but when it comes to the pregnancy part, I've had clients where, hey, when the baby's getting delivered this weekend, we're planned, whatever, or we had a baby this weekend. Can our child come up and meet? Nope. Wait till your visitation time. Like, there's people out there that are taking the meeting a sibling for the first time away from somebody. Yeah. Can you meet them later, 2 days later? Sure. Is the child going to remember? Maybe not. Or maybe the child's 12 and wants to meet their new sibling, and they will remember that other parent did not let them go to that visitation on swap time. But I'm telling you now, you need to wrap your head around and always expect to know. Always expect to know. It's fucking horrible. Not let them play sports. Yeah, well, there's that too. So what happens when a child preteen and it happens and she refuses to go with that parent? I mean, she refuses to go. You can't put your hands on her. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend threatening. I don't remember
a workshop on that. Actually, I think that's still in the next chapter. We have a whole 1 hour workshop on what to do when your kid doesn't want to go.
I need to put that on my fucking to-do list, is to take those trainings out of there.
Yeah, because right now, if you sign up, you get like 3 months. Wait, it was June, July, July. 4 months worth of training.
If you buy the next
$30, you guys. So
yeah, you're getting 4 months of trainings. Is it improper to request a second opinion if you see a current attorney is handling things? Yes. If you get the stomach belly vibes that your attorney is just not cut out for your case, go shopping, go seeking, go look around, see what there is to offer out there. Absolutely. All right. So what are you going to do the rest of the day?
Nothing. There's football on right now that my husband's watching. I think I'm making vegetarian chili later, but I don't think I'm doing much of anything. Except, I'm probably going to work on my outline for the workshop just to make sure that that's all done. But
you guys,
I'm chilling.
Our links in our bio are a resource that is phenomenal. I know for my people, I just had a workshop last week, and I told them that if they got an upsell that I offer, if they want me to write their parenting plan, they get some money back for signing up, and they get till midnight tonight to make that decision. So I got to send out an email to all of them today and remind them of that. I need to write that down, reminder email. But yeah, I'm literally going to hold babies all day because my little boys don't feel good. And I'm just going to reinvent some type of organization for the week. I'm going to redo my lists. I'm going to clean out that email. I just want to start tomorrow. Like, everything has a place, and there's a captain on every boat. Right now, I feel like there's just boats out in the oceans, they're just minding themselves. The waves are pushing them around. I need to pull all of them back in and okay, guys, this is where we're starting the beginning of the week, and go. I have senior night with my daughter on Tuesday. And I don't know how I feel about it. It's her last.
What is that? What does that entail?
So senior night is when it's their last home game. They recognize the seniors and their parents. So she gets announced, and then Jared and I get to come onto the court, which brings up a whole conversation of, we're a divorced family. Obviously, Jared is not her biological dad, but she's estranged from her biological dad. So she'll be having Jared and I down on the court, as she did for when she was on homecoming court for homecoming week. You know, we get announced as her parents. So that's a conversation you need to be figuring out as your children are having senior night. You know, are you going to have 4 people down? And every school does it differently. Like the neighboring school next to us does, the whole family gets announced, like brothers, sisters, everybody goes on the court because they are all the people that supported that child during her senior year, during her sporting events. So everybody just does everything a little bit different. Somebody asked, why is she estranged? Because my ex-husband is a high conflict person who chose to spend the past 16 years using all of his parenting time talking about me and what I'm doing and trying to get her to alienate her own brothers who were also out of the home prior to her, and me. And so since I was the high topic of conversation, my daughter got sick of it. And then since he couldn't control me anymore, why couldn't he control me anymore? Because I showed him boundaries with confidence. He switched to controlling her. And she could see the pattern of what he had done to me for 16 years. And he was starting to do it to her. And she's like, I'm out. This is getting too crazy. This is starting to look a lot like what you do to mom. And I'm not about it. So
and that's why when you learn to set boundaries,
my daughter learned them. Yes. My daughter quickly learned them after, I mean, she was a people pleaser, I would say majority of her life. And then there just came a point where she was like, would it be okay if I said this? Would it be okay if I felt this and did this? And I was like, girlfriend, your life, your story. You tell me, you know, I can't tell you what to do. You're 16. And she just said, I'm out. And she went into it, had a conversation with him. I role played with her what that conversation would look like. I gave 3 different possibilities of things of how he could react to that conversation, knowing full well I knew how he was going to react to that conversation. But I gave 3 different options. So she was prepared for that conversation. And when she walked back in the door, he said exactly option 1. And I reacted as I had practiced, and I wasn't scared about the conversation. I completely nailed it, said what I wanted to say. And I don't think I'm ever going back. And she has been, to see the change in her since she's got away from her high conflict parent. I can't even tell you. She's unrecognizable. She's beautiful. She's confident. She's a great human being. Her soul is so pure. It's not twisted anymore. I could sense when she was around him for the last few years, she wasn't herself. You could see something was holding her back from being her, you know, authentic self. She was questioning some decisions because of what he would think or say. And ever since she's been free of his grasp, she's been a remarkable human being to be around. And just the help that she gives other people and her concern for others and her perspective. She has 2 teachers that she can't fucking stand. And she came home the other day and she goes, you know what? I can't change it. I have to deal with them for a whole nother semester. So I've started to realize, instead of them sounding like a dick when they talk, she goes, I'm thinking they're being sarcastically funny. I'm just going to think in my head, they're just being sarcastic and it's funny. Because there's one teacher that's making fun of other students, and she stuck up for the student once, and then it's come back on her. So she's like, I'm just going to change how I appear it. And I'm just going to think this is sarcasm. There's no way someone can be this mean. This is sarcasm, because she has to get through the class. But she's just a really good human being. And I think it's because I showed that it's okay to have boundaries with family, with my ex, with community members, with neighbors. Like, she sees me say, no, that's not okay. And for her, it was, no, that's not okay. So she's just awesome. She's an awesome kid. You've helped me in so many ways. You're welcome. You're welcome. This is why we do this, guys. We want you to get there faster than what we did. We were on the slow walk to our destination. You guys are on like a fucking subway. Like, you could get there so much faster if you just use the tools that we're offering, and like getting on these calls. It'll completely change your life, because you're never going to change your ex, and you're not going to change the situation for your kids at that house, but you can change your situation for your kids at your house. So, all right, well, maybe you should get to some football games. I'm going to go upstairs. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're learning so much. Well, that's why we do this. So when will we be on next? Monday, we give training for next chapter. Tuesday,
we're in the next chapter. If you get in there, Tuesday, we have group coaching for moms. Wednesday, we've got group coaching for dads.
And training for dads.
Thursday, and the training in the next chapter for dads. And then Thursday, we're usually in our support groups, we have free support groups too.
Yeah. And I think you and I talked about at some point, we might try to do a live at nighttime too. And just start like jumping on a little bit at night so we can get a different group of people, especially since you have that workshop coming off. We got to let a lot of people know about that boundaries workshop. And I'm telling you guys, The only reason I am free from my ex-husband is because I have boundaries that I implement with confidence. And boundaries and confidence are both things that Leah Marie teaches. So I'm telling you right now, when we normally go on throughout the week, we're on in the morning times, but we're thinking about throwing in an evening slot and kind of having like a, maybe we could start having guests on if that's something you guys want, where you can come on with your screen off and ask questions, and go that way. So I'm getting a lot of hearts for that. So that might be something that we look into. We're pretty open. We just want people to have the tools that we offer. So click the links in the bio, take advantage of those, and we hope to see you. Link for the next chapter. Everything is in a link in our bios. So go to our link trees, and we literally broke it down into here's helpful hints for moms, helpful things for dads, and everything is right there. But the next chapter, we have a guest speaker on Monday this week, and we have parental alienation for dads. Going to be mind blowing for dads to really get help. So if you're a stepmom that's listening right now, get your husbands in there, give them some tools that they need, even if they just want to be a fly on the wall. Even if they're just like, no, I'm not, I can't say anything, I can't type. Just get in there and listen. Okay, get them in there. All right, Leah Marie, go watch some football. Who are you rooting for today?
The Bills. I live in Buffalo, so I married into the Mafia. Bills
Yeah,
Mafia.
but I'm a Cowboys fan, and I live in Illinois.
Oh, cool.
Jared's I don't even know why. He's a Bears fan. I mean, he's the Illinois, got to be a Bears fan, but they suck. I mean, they did win last Thursday. But I was a Cowboys fan. You want to know why? Because this is my childhood. My birthday is in January, which was always at the end of January, which is always around the Super Bowl. So when the Super Bowl was happening, my parents were having Super Bowl parties. So my birthday party was a reason to have a Super Bowl party as well. So, and the Cowboys, when I was little, because I'm 44, you can do the math and look up the Cowboys, were always in the Super Bowl. So we would have like a birthday cake that would have Dallas Cowboys on it for my birthday.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I just became like a Cowboys fan because they were always in the Super Bowl around my birthday. So that's how. But yeah, we watch the Bears, and all we do is listen to Jared cuss at the TV for
there's a lot of yelling and pacing.
Oh my God.
Back and forth.
Oh my gosh, that's all he does. Although last week I think they were all surprised that the Bears were winning, which was a shock. But yeah, so I'm going to go reinvent my life. I'm going to post about it inside of the next chapter. So if you're in the next chapter, I'll be posting about how I'm reorganizing my life today and getting all.
Which is good, because some of the ladies in there have been asking about that. Like I have a lady I've got to check in on tomorrow in the next chapter who was tackling one of her closets this weekend that constantly, every time she went to start, she was just too overwhelmed and then just didn't even start. So
yeah, that's how I am with my toy room. Like I need advice on how to go from little toys to like getting rid of all the little toys, because now my kids are 5 and 4, so they're into more like boy things and not the little kid things.
Yeah, just donate it.
I know, but it's going through 2 rooms of toy plus a basement. It's a lot.
Well, don't approach it like you're going to do all of it at once. I would just start with like one closet in one room, like make a throwaway bag, a donation bag, and then you're done. And then if you want to keep going, keep going. But if you don't, you're done for the day. Then you can go back to like a different section the next day or the next week.
Yeah. Oh, and I got to call my cleaning lady. I'm going to hire a cleaning lady today. Cleaning lady. That was the other thing. I'm so excited about hiring a cleaning lady.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I've never had a cleaning lady. Have you ever had a cleaning lady?
Jared's going to be happy about it.
Ecstatic. He just cleaned the bathrooms last week, so he's going to be excited that he never has to do that again. I think though with 2 boys, I still have to clean toilets, because let's be real. I mean, the accuracy.
That's kind of like an ongoing thing. Yeah, Allison says 1 room at a time. Yeah, like you got to start small, just 1 room at a time. Or even if the whole room is overwhelming, just start with like a corner or a closet. And see, I love it. I am like the queen of purge. Every month or 2, I go through and I get rid of things I'm not using, I don't wear, don't fit, don't use, and I donate it. Like I don't like clutter.
Yeah. I really want to be like, when we move houses in June, I want to be like more of a minimalist. Yeah. I don't need, like, the kitchen especially. Like, why do I need 75 fucking pans? Why do I need
or like 8 spatulas?
Like, yeah, like, come on. I mean, we do dishes twice a day. So there ain't nothing going to be dirty that long that I have to have a backup to the backup to the backup, you know? Like,
Right.
like we
Just
just
pick
have
your favorite couple. Yeah, and then get rid of. Yeah, that's a good tip too. Set a timer and clean for a time frame. That's a good tip.
yeah.
Or
I
you
think
said
it's
she's on the list.
the whole pitching, but then like I do have a lot of cool toys, and with us moving, we got to start cleaning out this house. Otherwise, moving is going to be a bitch. Um,
Right.
and just
Right.
giving away. Like I am not about to fucking sell anything. I am one that if you need it, come get it. I am
Yeah.
not. I'm not going to go. Here's a picture
And
of.
I don't know if you have this, but here we have something called there's a Facebook group, and of course I'm
Yeah,
gonna blank on the name.
yeah. We have
Right,
like
where
a
you just
garage
come pick
sale
it
for
up.
our. Mhm.
Yeah, like you just say, "Hey, does anybody want this thing?" And it's only for like your neighborhood or whatever. And
Yeah, yeah,
I do that with people all the time, and they'll just come pick it up if they want
yeah. But I highly recommend more than one pot and one pan each. Well, I mean, I do have a couple
it.
pots. But literally, like you go like our cookie sheets. Like we have a cookie sheet. Like we have a big one, we have a small one, we have 3 big ones, like 2 small. Like nobody needs that many cookie sheets. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Like, when I move, I just don't want to take all this shit. I want to
right.
like,
It's a lot to pack. That's a lot to bring with you. Then you got to unpack it. You got to find places for it. Just
yeah,
bring when there's less clutter, you feel less cluttered. Your brain is less cluttered.
right.
It's nice.
Plus, we're going to be getting rid of seasons of clothes. I mean, we're going from where it snows here to not going to be snowing. So I don't have to have 95. But I will say, down in the South, you still have to have sweaters because everybody has their fucking air conditioning turned down to like Arctic temperatures. So you got to take a sweater into every restaurant so that you don't like, freeze your ass off. But yeah, there's just a lot of work to do. Like I'm just looking around this room right now, and we have like baby toys still that we need to get rid of because our kids are not babies anymore. So, what
Just
state am
take
I moving
garbage
to?
bags and throw it
Alabama.
in
Moving to Alabama. We are already in contract with the house. We're going to Alabama, South Alabama, and hopefully everybody say a little nice prayer or well wish. My daughter should find out if she gets into Auburn here in the next couple days.
there. Ooh.
Girlfriend, if she doesn't, we're going to need to seek
Yeah.
therapy right away.
We got a lot of swag from Auburn.
We have a lot of Auburn swag that we need to make sure that we yeah, I'm just hoping. She's gotten into so many schools. I'm hoping that this is the one she wants though. So it's like, yeah, War Damn Eagle. That's right. Because if we have to roll fucking Tide, I don't know how well that's going to go over. She got into Alabama as well, but we want to get into Auburn. So, yeah, she won't be accepted.
User in Oklahoma.
To what?
Thanks. That was thoughtful of you to type that in. You sound like you're a good person.
Oh. Why is YouTube where all the cronies hang out?
Yeah, YouTube is where a lot of the miserable men live. So I find it entertaining. It's entertaining to me.
Oh, yeah. I I can't even. What does it take people to just it's amazing how our community is so supportive and so nice. And then there's just somebody that can't take the courage to say, I need help. And instead they lash out. Does anybody have somebody like that in their circle where instead of being like vulnerable and saying, I need something, they just instead like become just an asshole?
I heard somebody say something once that was like, they said, who judged you so harshly in your past that you now feel like you have to judge others harshly?
Yeah.
Because that's really what it comes down to, right? Obviously, if anybody who's like trying to spew hate, it's because that's all they got in there. That's what they got to work with is hate. And so that's what they're spewing out. So it's not you, it's just a projection of how they feel.
Right.
Which is actually kind of sad.
Which is, I tried to get my ex-husband to see that. One time we were in the car together. I know it sounds crazy, but we were going to a softball game with my daughters, and he started opening up about his childhood and stuff. And we were getting along really well this season. And some of the stories he told me to anybody else, I think would be like, dude, this is why you're the way you are. Go get some help for that shit. And you would be maybe a little bit better than what you are. But he wasn't even connecting the two. He was telling the story as if it had no relation to how he was acting as an adult. And it was like, I almost had empathy for him at that point, and I do, that he's so broken from his childhood that he doesn't see that it's affecting who he is as a grown man. Like he doesn't connect them at all. And it was like, he goes, well, that's what happened. And I'm like, back then. And I'm like, but it's having an ill effect on you now. And he doesn't get it. And I feel for him in that context. And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't relate what happened to them as a child, that it affects how they parent, or affects how they let people in, or affects how they judge people because they were judged as a child. And I feel for those people that have to deal with those people. And because that was me, I'm having to deal with a man that was so hurt when he was young that he doesn't see that it's why because he was hurt, he acts out in such an attack mode so that nobody can hurt him.
Right. That's why healing is so important. You can't just ignore that shit. You have to address it. It doesn't go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Check the website. Our links are all in our link tree. Click the link in the bio.
My head went somewhere else with that question.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go. I got to revamp my life. Okay. So if you're in the next chapter, you're going to see me in there. I'm going to show you my spreadsheets of my to-do list of how I organize my life, how I get my calendar going for the week. And I'm just going to dump how I organize my life. But this new tank top, I'm just telling you, it's doing something for the boobs. It's doing something for my confidence. I'm just telling you, I'm going to go. I think these were super cheap from Target. So if anybody are looking for like a little, there's one lady on TikTok that I follow, Chase. Do you follow her? She's got white and dark colored hair. She's a hairstylist. She always say, hey girl, what are you doing? And like all the time.
Oh yeah. I know her.
She wears these kind of things all the time. And I never thought I was like good enough to wear them, but I think I am because I have high-waisted bottoms on. So
I like the color too.
I know it's kind of like a neutral that you can wear. Like this is just a navy cardigan. So are you wearing a cardigan today?
No, it's just a long sleeve shirt.
Okay. Oh, my mom bought me a whole bunch of earrings. You're going to see my earring game. She stopped at this boutique, and this woman, these earrings are like this big. They're going to be huge, but they're all different colors. I am so pumped to get them. They are so good. So my earring game is going to improve. I'm excited. Looks good. Thank you very much. All right, you guys have a good rest of your Sunday. If you're in the next chapter, I'll be spilling some tea on how to get organized today. But if not, we'll see you again this week. Make sure you're following, make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're getting into our free support groups. Everything that you fucking need in life is in the link in our bios. So go click on those and get into her workshop, her boundary setting workshop. Get into that ASAP. All right, Leah Marie, have a good rest of your day. Okay. Go Bills.
Yeah, thanks. Bye guys. All right, guys.